At the same time, I keep thinking, okay, so we all know this. The Race to World First is, and then the guilds that are playing there, they're playing absolutely different version of the bosses
Sure.
for
Yeah.
the one that
100%.
we're going to be playing when we get there.
Yeah.
And these people, the people that play the original version of the boss, the one that we see on the Race to World First, it's like 5 guilds, man. It's not even 10 probably, right? Because the nerfs, sometimes the nerfs come as soon as both Liquid and Echo kill it. So there's only 2 guilds that pull the boss in that version because it's too hard. And
Yeah.
by the time then the non-Hall of Fame guild, like 2 months later, gets there, or whatever the time is, right? It's a completely different boss, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that's fine. Like, this is needed. But at the same time, Blizzard is designing bosses for 2 guilds. So that's like 50 people, right? They play that. Then they design a
Yeah.
different type of tuning and boss for like the next 100 guilds, and then for the next and the next, etc. So I keep thinking, obviously, you cannot do something crazy as, let's say, move those people into like a private server so they can have their raids there because they're the only ones who are gonna see it anyway, right? So why
Yep.
not give them the best gear, put them on that server? They're not going to do splits, which is something that I guess I don't know if they like it. They probably don't, but once I'm watching the Race to World First, I don't want to watch splits, man. I want to see boss pools. I want to see them struggling to kill the bosses, right? And then they have like a
Yep.
whole week of splits, and everybody is just not watching or whatsoever. So that could be a solution, but then the people on the regular servers would still make a separate race, etc. Right? So. But here's another take. I don't play Final Fantasy, but I know they have this difficulty level there, which is like above everything else, which is like extremely, extremely hard. So
Okay.
in my eyes, it's basically the same. They have the same tiers as well. They have like the normal, the heroic, the mythic, and then I don't know if it's called ultimate or something, but then they have this tier, right, which is the extremely hard stuff. So, what would it be beneficial if Blizzard actually does this tier, which is the original version of the bosses, the one that the road to the Race to World First guilds
Mhm.
kill, right? And leave it there, right? And it's not going to have any type of rewards whatsoever, maybe an achievement or something, or it's not actually going to be an achievement, a feat of strength,
Mhm.
because I don't think it's fair to have an achievement that nobody can achieve except
Yeah,
like
for
50
sure.
people, right? But
Yeah.
so leave it there so that if somebody potentially ever wants to go and see, hey, let me see how Echo or Liquid experience that
Mhm.
fight, go ahead, man. Do it. You know,
Yeah.
it's there.
Sure.
But for the regular guilds, we're gonna be still doing mythic. We're gonna get the gear from there. It's gonna be the same, but the bosses are gonna be tuned to the level at which we can kill them initially, right? So they're
Mhm.
gonna be designed for us to be able to kill them, not for Echo to be able to kill them, right? And
Yeah.
then that initial tuning and that initial fight that essentially goes out of the game in like the first week and nobody ever sees
Mhm.
again, it is still going to be there, you know?
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
going to be available. And the Race to World First in that sense is still going to be there, and it's still going to be exciting because those guilds, this is what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's a potential solution that is going to make it better for us, but it's not going to completely diminish the Race to World First because, as you said, if they go and one shot the boss, nobody's going to be interested to watch this and
Yeah.
nobody's going to care.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking though, there's another tier, right? We talked about race to world first and the top two, three, maybe even four, you could say,
Yeah.
guilds. And then you got the Hall of Fame, but there is another tier, right? Technically, there's cutting edge, right? That's the
Yeah.
cutting edge raiders, and that's a thing, right? There's a timeline on that, and once that switch gets flipped, you can't get that achievement anymore. And so there is that tier, which is still considered, I don't know if that's considered hardcore, semi hardcore, or what, but you do have to achieve killing all the mythic bosses before that specific date. Or I think it's the next tier's released, or I don't know
Yeah.
when it is exactly. But um, so I think that, that is still a different game between those tiers, right? Those are three completely different games,
Absolutely.
honestly. Like, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after cutting edge is like AOTC you would kind of say more
Yeah.
casual
Yeah.
gameplay. Even if you're like 4 or 5 of Mythic or whatever, like you're if you don't get cutting edge, you're not part of that group of cutting edge, right? So um and they are nerfing or making adjustments even for that group of cutting edge raiders, and giving us the buffs and things. I like the idea that you said of like having like this completely separate thing that's just like for those 4 guilds, or maybe it's
Maybe it's 10
there's
eventually,
a
but
few.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.